I hear the call of the stars.
G'day guys, Duckville here. Welcome to a replay from the Korean ladder. This is going to be featuring, I'll go with that, a couple of very high profile players, of course. Actually, one very high profile player, another who is a very, very good Korean, played in Code. Over here, our red Zerg down in the bottom right hand corner of Tal'Darim Alta is Curious, who is from the team ST, previously with TSL, I think, just off the top of my head. He's been in Code A this season, the Pepsi 2011 Code A Season 4. Went down to Yu-Gi-Oh! Unfortunately. That was his first game, was against Yu-Gi-Oh! But is a pretty decent Zerg player, of course, and has now run into one of my very favourite Protoss players in pretty much the whole entire world, actually, is LiquidHuk. So, yep, it's okay. You can stop clapping now. It is indeed LiquidHuk, and he's over here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, down here in the sexy blue. And we'll see what he's going to pull out today. He's this is actually from the Team Liquid This Week in Replays, I think it's called, pack that they released just recently. I think the first week of July they released this pack. And he is actually featured in this pack with a few replays. Make sure if you haven't already seen it, you jump on teamliquidpro.com. You can actually find out a little bit more about some of the Team Liquid players and replays and all that sort of jazz. But of course, if you don't know who Huck is, let me introduce him. Winner of DreamHack and winner of Home Story Cup. Done a really great job over in Korea, of course, playing with the boys from the OGS team, along with Jinro and a couple of the other Team Liquid pros as well. And has just been doing a really fantastic job for the foreign scene, winning some of these tournaments. And of course, if you want to watch Huck in action, you can check him out on his JTV account, which is justin.tv/LiquidHuk, I think is the account name. And he's really fun to watch. Plays some really cool music while he's at it, and then just does some fun things, as we can see here, being really annoying with one of the very famous Huck probes. If you obviously haven't watched Huck before, he does amazing things with these initial harassing probes here, coming into your mineral lines, pretending to steal minerals, blocking mineral access, and doing all sorts of things which are really, really annoying. Put a lot of players off their game in some ways. I actually saw a replay where he was doing a little bit of mineral harassment, and the guy actually started raging at him in chat. It was quite funny to watch, but we'll see what he's going to get up to. Here we do have a Forge expansion here, of course, pretty much the standard on this map. I actually don't think I've ever seen anyone do a one base opening from Protoss on this map. I have seen a fake expansion with a 4-gate from I believe that was Naniwa on this map, but that was the only thing that I've seen recently like that. And obviously, this is a little bit of a different type of expansion here. A lot of players, when you normally do this, in fact, including myself, I'm still guilty of this, normally come out here, you put down one pylon over here, and then you start walling off with a forge. You got your gateway, you got your cybernetics core over here, and then your cannon up the back. This is a little bit of a different style. What this does is it allows you to have 2 pylons covering your cannon, which is a very good thing, of course, as some Protoss will know. If you have been busted by roaches and somehow the roaches shoot down your pylon and your cannon's unpowered, you get really annoyed. But what this also does is it allows you to keep this cybernetics core a little bit further out of the way here at the back, which, as we can see here, is a little bit further out of range. Of course, it's way out of range of those lings because this is a tight wall in. You can't actually get in or out until you destroy one of these pylons, which would be the optimal thing to destroy. You wouldn't want to really destroy the gateway if possible. But that is a new sort of way which I've seen to do this wall off on this map. But now we do see he is scouting around, just trying to check out what is happening here. Queen has something to say about that, poking away at the probe. Probe tried to get inside to see what tech was coming here from Curious, but Curious is not really teching at all at the moment here. He's trying to take out the rocks with these Zerglings. This will be done in probably about 6 years. Those rocks will be done from those minor little Zergling hits that they do. But for the meantime, just teching up. Obviously spending a lot of his resources on getting the drones up here. Currently sitting at 31 harvesters in total. Interestingly, Huck is currently trying to keep afloat as well with the probe count. Currently sitting at a grand total of 33 with the double Nexus, whatever you want to call it. busting out the probes at a very quick rate, of course. Advantages of the Forge expansion include that you do get the extra chrono booster as well from the secondary Nexus, which is a really powerful thing to boost up your economy. And it's one thing which some Protoss actually do a little bit differently to some of these pro sort of level players, is that you see a lot of people on ladder actually spend their chrono always on the cybernetics core to make sure that the warp gate tech gets up straight away. You don't always have to, especially with this new age sort of Zerg, where they'll put on this this fake pressure with Zerglings or something like that, and then what they'll actually be doing is sitting back at home just droning up like crazy, grabbing all sorts of mineral resources and all that sort of stuff, and it just puts you quite far behind. So what Huk is doing here, which we'll probably see on one of the Nexus, no we don't, because he's looks to be saving up a little bit of the energy for now, right as I say that, but chrono boosting out a lot of the probes is a really good way to make sure you don't actually fall behind in the harvester count as well, as opposed to boosting out the warp gate tech. So this is something to keep in mind here. Huk, interestingly, lost the power to this gateway when he took down that pylon, had a backup one just behind it, which just came in, and three sentries, sorry, these are not warp gates running around, but they are sentries, just poking around, making sure that the Lings aren't just sitting out there on their deck chairs, making sure that they're all cool and having a beer or something like that. So meanwhile, just across to the side, we've got our Zerg player just getting up that third base. Of course, this is a pretty traditional way to take your third base, while the Protoss is looking to get their own expansions up. Of course, with this fast expand star from Huk, you can go ahead and take your third pretty quickly as a Zerg. And in fact, very, very interestingly, Huk moving along here with these pylons. It looks to be like he's in the mood to take a very quick third here. I've actually seen some of his replays, and he does really like to take a quick third here on this map. Beautiful force fields there, another Huk trademark. Force fielding in a few of these Lings, actually taking out a lot of them there, and these sentries will probably take out this last Ling before it gets anywhere, but it looks as if it is. Oh no, there it goes. These Stalkers up the top there, taking out that extra Ling, and it looks as if the rocks are going to be next on the menu. So an Overlord's still in the middle of the base here. Not sure why Huk hasn't gotten rid of this just yet, but I'm sure he'll get to it shortly once he takes care of the rocks. I really think this is going to be a very interesting fast expand to the third here by Huk. He's taking out the rocks. There we go. Probably going to place down that Nexus quite soon. There it goes. So very quick strategy here from Huk. He's got a lot of sentries out. We got the Stalkers as well. All of these units can move out and provide a lot of pressure to Curious here if he's not careful with his production of his units. Now we go back to the production tab. Oops, I didn't realize I didn't have that up. Hydra Den is now done. We have 2 Evo chambers down here as well. Not actually getting out any upgrades yet. I'm a bit surprised to not see the +1 to missile weapons, but some beautiful force fields again from Huk here, protecting those Stalkers for the moment here. Doing another nice job. Whoops, we won't go back to that Evo chamber. What we'll do is keep an eye on these Roaches here being force fielded in. We'll probably see Huk turn around, take some shots if he can, force fielding off more of those Roaches so they can't get into the battle here. It looks as if Huk will probably still have to retreat for the moment. Don't want to lose all those sentries. That's a lot of useful gas that is now being taken out by those Roaches. The Stalkers, meanwhile, are going to have to try and retreat for the time being. The Roaches have definitely had their fill. Obviously, we'll see a couple of these Roaches maybe go down to a lot of Stalkers that have been built up here by Huk, and he's just using this. Obviously, it's a little bit of cover to make sure that this base gets taken. An Overlord is sitting up here in this this little spot here, which is really annoying. You have to be really careful if you're a Protoss player. Make sure you have a quick check of what's happening up here at the high ground there. Obviously, you can't actually see it if you don't have an observer or something in the sky, but it is something to be really wary of now. Huk now moving into position. No realization there from Curious that an observer was in the sky pointing out where those Roaches were. The Stalker's doing a good job picking off some of those. Burrowed movement is now done as well for Curious, so he could keep some of these Roaches alive if he's very careful with the burrowed movement. Of course, there is that observer as well. Losing more sentries, really sort of interesting playstyle there from Huk, actually just losing those. I'm a bit surprised. He is obviously a very heavy user of sentries there, using them really, really well with his force field placements and that sort of thing, capturing in units. But now that he's got a lot of Stalkers along with Blink just about done, there it is. Blink comes into effect. He'll be able to keep the Stalkers in touch with these Roaches, perhaps do a couple of Stalker donuts on top of these Roaches, but now there are a lot of the Roaches out. They do a nice amount of damage against the Stalkers, but the Stalkers, obviously, with their mobility, will have to pull back for the time being. So What's Huck's next move? You're sort of wondering for the moment here. He's up to this third base, populating this nice and quickly there with those extra probes that he's boosted out. Let's have a quick look at the harvest account. In fact, we actually have Huck ahead, 71 to 66 drones at the moment here, and he's doing a nice job just scouting around with this observer, just poking around, seeing how far the Curious has gotten around the map. A lot of this creep spreading out here. He's doing a good job with that. He did not actually spot that fourth base, which Curious has up, as you can see. He's just gotten this done. A Queen is on the way. A couple of drones will be there shortly, and he'll have that up quite quickly there. A Stalker may actually scout this out. If he's good with the scouting, he may be able to move down and perhaps check it out, but it looks as if it will just be hanging out here at the main expansion up the top there. So for the moment, these guys are probably just going to be very careful with what they're going to do. A lot of roaches are out, as Huck can see over here. They're just hanging out at that Xelnaga watchtower, making sure that he's very careful with what's going on. One roach does move out. It looks as if this one wants to move across to the opposite Xelnaga watchtower on the left-hand side, or perhaps to check out a possible third or fourth base from Huck. I'm not sure if he knows about the other expansion. Yeah, he does know about the one down just at the normal third position, as we can see down here. He does know that this one is here. It will be quite easily protected by the massive amount of stalkers that are in the sky at the moment. Stalkers that are on the ground, actually. They don't fly just yet. There's no upgrade for that. I can just imagine all sorts of people crying about that already. If stalkers could fly, there would be tears all over the internet. But Huck, meanwhile, doing a good job with his force fields. Really nice job keeping those roaches out of the battle. A lot of people, when they try and force field, you try and capture a lot of the units and try and make sure they cannot run away. That sort of a style of tactic of using the force field, you don't have to do that. You just need to capture a few of them in, keeps the rest of them out of the battle, and then you will absolutely stomp over these units. It essentially applies to a lot of the units when you're trying to force field them. Is just sort of keep half of them out of the battle, and then you're all good. But obviously Huck is a very seasoned expert with using his force field, so that's why he's very good at it himself. Meanwhile, over here at that fourth, Curious has got this up and running. There are going to be a couple of spine crawlers to defend, along with a spore crawler, to make sure that no DTs are causing any sorts of trouble here. Huck just checking out what is happening at some of these various places. He may try and poke around and see if he can find this fourth. I'm a bit surprised he hasn't noticed it just yet, but the Stalker's just running around picking off some of those overlords. We do see that Curious is now down in the red, currently sitting at 197 over 192 supply, and we'll have to see if he's going to try and push to make up for that, or perhaps just sit back and macro up. As we can see, he's going for a fifth base over here. A battle ensuing in the middle, though. Stalker's being very careful with their blink, of course, making sure they don't engage when the roaches are in a nice concave. But as we can see, it looks as if Curious has had enough of this third base down here. He's going to have a look. Huck well prepared for this. There are some Immortals in the mix as well, along with some Zealots to tank some damage. Stalker's now coming in through the back here. They are going to be able to take out a lot of these roaches. The roaches are doing some nice damage to those Immortals, but the Immortals are getting it really low there from the Hydras as well, losing both of those Immortals now, and we do see that Huck is going to try and blink across and take out the rest of these units. He should be able to with some decent micro, along with some warp-ins. I would assume he's about to do. He should be able to take care of the rest of this force with those Blink Stalkers. They do have +2 to weapons, so they do a great amount of damage. There are some more warp-ins there. Some Zealots are going to be warping in the front to tank some of the damage with their charge. They run up and yell all sorts of things in the Hydra's ears, which must be really annoying. That's the best part of charge. You just imagine what they're saying when they get up close and personal with those Hydras, because that'll be a bit scary. Psyblades in your face and rude words in your face as well. So, Curious obviously losing a lot of that force there. He did drop a little bit in the supply, but of course being a Zerg with a very good macro here while he's morphing in the hive, he's just resupplied all of that, and now he looks to be trying to have a shot down here at this potential fourth base for Huck. So Huck not actually sort of taking this one. I'm a little bit curious, no, that's not a pun, as to what he's doing there. He's put some pylons down like he is going to take it, but Curious has now just walked down, finds there's no nexus, only takes out a couple of probes, and that is going to be the only thing he's going to take out of this battle for the moment here. So, a little bit interesting there for Huck in terms of his decision making as to where he's going to expand. It looks as if he may actually go down to the 6 o'clock position. There it is. We do see a Nexus go down at 6 o'clock. A very daring expansion there. Obviously Zerg can just sort of sit up here, take some shots at the assimilator and the probes on this mineral patch, but if he can get it up and get a couple of cannons perhaps to defend the side, he should be in a really nice spot. Now as we can see, Templar are out for Huck. He does have Storm. These Templar have a little bit of energy. A couple of them have some Storms ready to roll, and along with a few more Immortals boosting up the forces, he'll definitely be able to crush through the Roach force along with those Hydras. With some well-placed Storms, he should be able to rip through all of those Hydras. So we'll have to see what happens in the upcoming battle here between these two. The 5th base is now up and running. Some more Spine Crawlers being plunged up there from the ground, and they're going to be protecting this 5th base, and I think we may see if Curious is going to try and go. No, what he's doing is actually just getting some really good map vision. But speaking of map vision, we do have a huge battle here. Storms going down all over the place. Those Roaches are in a little bit of trouble. A lot of them in the red there. Hydra's up the back now, finally in the battle. The Immortals will be able to do a great amount of damage there, and obviously losing a little bit on the Hydras, but there are no Infestors there, which I'm a little bit surprised from Curious. He normally does bring in some Infestors with this sort of play, along with all of those Stalkers there. It's very sort of influential if you have those Infestors in the battle. There they are. It has one. Puts down a Fungal Growth on top of that Stalker bunch that was there. Archon's now trying to have some fun with these groups of Overlords that are floating around, and it looks as if the Roaches are just going to try and resupply for the moment here. Reinforcements are steaming in from all directions at the moment here. Still not too many Infestors just yet. He's only got the 1 on the battlefield, 2 on the battlefield at the moment. There are 5 on the way. Once they're out, he'll be in a decent position to make sure he can counterattack against Huk for the time being. But Huk with this 5th base, the 4th base up and running here with the probes transferring down, he's going to be in a really good spot. But another battle down in the southerly position. Storms going on top of all of these Roaches here. The Templar have had enough. They're switching into their Archon form. Stalker's now blinking up on top of the Infestors, taking out one of the Infestors. That pretty much leaves only a few left on the field. With all of these Archons now in the mix, this is going to be quite hard for Curious to deal with. That massive damage that the Archons do. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, check this out. They actually do 47 damage to biological, and hint, hint, that's actually every single Zerg unit. There are no mechanical units, could you imagine that? But look at that, just blasting through all of these Roaches here. Even with some Fungals going down on the Stalkers, he's going to still be able to rip through every single thing here. Zealots now coming into the mix with their +3 to weapons, +1 to shields and armor. Huk is just going to absolutely obliterate the rest of the forces here from Curious. These 3 Evo chambers are not going to get too far. One of them has +3 to Carapace on the way for ground forces, but I tell you what, the remaining units, which are essentially drones, are not going to need too much armor, I tell you, because they are going to get ripped apart either way, and it even gets stopped there by the ravaging Zealots just running around, tearing into every single piece of this Zerg base. And now with everything going down, despite the fact that Curious was obviously up with this 5th base, with the 4th base as well, he's just not going to be able to take care of this massive power of the Protoss force that's now sweeping through his base. And there's the GG from Curious. So great game there from Huk, just really being very careful with his units. Obviously, we saw a few battles here in the middle, just being very careful with the Stalkers, making sure he didn't lose too many of them, and then warping in, obviously, the finishing touches as well, being the Templar and Mass Zealots there at the end, dealing with the rest of the base here from Curious. So I hope you guys enjoyed that game from Huk. If you do want to see any of the other pros from the Team Liquid team, please let me know, and I'll try and dig some more of them up, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.